I'm Joanna Small, the Public Information Officer for the Commerce City Police Department. It's Monday, September 16th, and these are your weekend high or low lights, depending on how you look at them. This is essentially our video blotter where we give you a rundown of the most significant incidents your CCPD patrol officers responded to over the weekend. But we always like to start off with a few fast facts. We answered 278 calls for service and made 38 traffic stops just on Saturday and Sunday. Now here's a look at those highlights in chronological order. On Friday, officers assisted detectives from CMAT, the Colorado Metropolitan Auto Theft Task Force, in serving a search warrant on a property in the 4500 block of East 52nd. Members of our SWAT team provided cover and extra equipment to ensure the property was secure. They identified and removed 2 individuals there so detectives could safely conduct their search. Now, you likely saw this next post on our various social media platforms shortly after it happened. On Friday night, just after 8:30, an 18-year-old woman was crossing East 64th Avenue at an unmarked intersection around the 5100 block when she was struck by a pickup truck. The driver is underage and had only a learner's permit. He initially left the scene but came back with his parents. The pedestrian was transported to the hospital in critical condition, and as of this recording, she does remain critical. Although speed and any type of impairment do not appear to have contributed to this crash, the driver will face charges for operating a vehicle without a valid license, and additional charges will be determined after this investigation is complete. On Saturday, officers responded to the 11,000 block of East 118th Avenue for reports of a domestic violence assault. The suspect had fled the scene, but officers located him in his vehicle and found him in the process of crushing up cocaine. He was also under the influence of drugs already. He was arrested for the assault, DUI, possession of a controlled substance, and other traffic charges. Also on Saturday, observant park rangers located a subject who appeared to be experiencing a medical emergency inside a vehicle in the 6800 block of Fairfax Drive. The vehicle had been reported as stolen. When officers got to the scene, they learned the suspect had active warrants for motor vehicle theft as well as other charges. He was transported to the hospital for that medical issue, but now faces new motor vehicle theft charges. Again on Saturday, officers rushed to the 7400 block of Layden Street after our new gunfire detection technology alerted us to shots fired. A witness also told us they had seen 3 juveniles firing a gun. Officers found about a dozen shell casings and a speed limit sign with bullet holes in it. Those casings were booked into evidence and the investigation is ongoing. Overnight Saturday into Sunday, officers responded to an injury crash in the area of 112th Place and Havana. Both parties were initially trapped inside the vehicle, which had gone through a fence, and both the driver and the passenger were seriously injured. Officers immediately recognized that the driver was intoxicated. There were a number of both open and closed alcohol containers in the vehicle, as well as several firearms. Both people were transported to the hospital. The driver is facing vehicular assault and DUI charges. Very early Sunday morning, officers were alerted by a security company with a live surveillance feed that someone was in their construction site, which was supposed to be clear of workers at that time. When we arrived on scene, we spotted a suspect inside of a vehicle. When he saw us, he took off on foot and a chase ensued. Eventually, officers were able to apprehend the suspect, who continued to be uncooperative, physically fighting the arrest. Officers discovered the vehicle the suspect had been driving had a punched ignition, so we contacted the registered owner to determine if that vehicle was indeed stolen. He told us he had parked his vehicle at an RTD parking lot several days prior while out of state, and no one had permission to be operating it. Therefore, the suspect is now facing a number of charges to include motor vehicle theft, criminal trespass, criminal mischief, obstruction, and resisting arrest. On Sunday, officers responded to a local hospital for an 18-year-old who had walked in with a gunshot wound to a lower extremity. He claimed he had found a firearm and put it in his waistband, then started to run. He told officers he then reached for the gun to remove it and ditch it, but it went off and he shot himself in the foot. Officers canvassed the area around East 59th and Oneida in an attempt to recover the gun, but it was not located. That teenager is now facing prohibited use of a weapon charges. That's all for now. We'll see you next time. Have a safer week, Commerce City, and remember, if you need us, we are always just minutes away.